Hey, what's going on, everyone? Marcus Castelli here, and today I'm be talking about the 4 levels of value and how you can literally use it to change your life. Now, this is something I actually learned from Myron Golden, somebody I just started following about, I want to say about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And when I first watched the video of him explaining this, it was just so profound and it literally impacted and changed my life. So I had to share it with you guys. And if this just changes one person's life, then I've achieved my goal. Now, I'm going to be explaining exactly how this can impact and change your life. Like if you're where you don't want to be financially, you're not where you want to be in life. If you understand this, it will have a dynamic impact on your life. So what is the 4 levels of value? Now, before we get into value, what I understand is this. Well, value is equals money. Okay. So literally the money that we have in our pocket, the money that we use to exchange, it literally is a I don't know how to really describe it. It really is just value in paper form, right? Because what you do is with money is you go out and exchange it for things that you believe is more valuable or of equal value. Like if I go to a store, I buy a T-shirt. Of course, I'm exchanging that money because I believe that T-shirt is worth whatever amount of money they're asking for it. Same thing comes to life and your income and business. So I'm going to break this down for you. Trust me, this is going to blow your mind if you watch this and understand this. And I'm going to explain by the end of this how you could actually use this to change your life as well. But let's get straight into this. Right now, there was 4 different levels of value. The 4 different levels of value are implementation, unification, communication, and imagination. Now, let me break this down all for you so you understand what it is. So implementation is literally the people that go out in society, right? We have determined in society that the implementers of society gets paid the least. So what is an implementer? An implementer is someone who actually does the physical labor of things, right? So at McDonald's, the person that's working the cashier, the person that's flipping the burgers, right? That is the implementer. Then the unifier is going to be the managers of society, the person who is actually tasked to bring a group of implementers together to complete a task. So what does the manager do? The manager makes sure that McDonald's functions properly by making sure that the implementers are doing their tasks. Okay. And like I said, we have decided as a society that the implementers are going to get paid the least because this is the least valuable skill. We have society have determined that. As you can see, if you're an implementer at any job set, like when I was a media buyer once, I was a person that was actually in charge of running the ads. I was implementing what the business wanted done. I was getting paid the least because I was at the bottom of I was at the bottom of the value ladder, right? Then of course my manager, who was in charge of me and a couple other people that were in my department, he got paid more than us because he was the unifier. Okay. Now, the next thing that we have is called the communication level. Okay. Now, the communication level is literally people who go out there and they are so good at communicating that they use that to move the marketplace. So, communicator might be salesperson, right? They literally talk to people and get them to buy a product, right? Communicator might also be like a YouTuber. They're using their communication, they're talking to get people's attention. They move the market with talk. They'd be like Oprah Winfrey, talk show host, right? Stephen A. Smith, right? I'm big on basketball. I watch ESPN. He's a communicator, okay? He gets paid literally for talking. This could even be like motivational speakers and whatnot, right? Now, the highest level is what you're going to call, which is the imagination, okay? These are people who literally use their imagination to change the marketplace. Now, what you have to understand is this. Everything that we have in our world, right? Even this this board right here, this marker, this jacket, before it was here, it was just a thought in somebody's mind, right? Which means that it at one point had to be invisible before it was visible. Somebody had to think it up. That means that it was invisible. And then they literally brought it from being invisible to visible. Like this was a thought in somebody's head. And they're like, I'm going to make this marker. And now this marker is no longer in their head and it's here. Same thing with this phone I'm talking to you on, or even, for example, the house that's right next to me, the house I'm in right now. This was just a thought in somebody's head. And then they brought it about. Now, the people who are the biggest, like the people that operate in this realm right here is going to be like the Elon Musk, right? The Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates. These are people who have thoughts and ideas and they have a thought for something and they bring it about and they make it into actual reality. They use their imagination to create value, right? Now, what's going to happen is, let me explain this to you right here. So the implementers in society, these are the people that's usually going to get around, I'm going to put this, they usually get paid around like let's say about like 50K a year, right? On the high end, they might get like 70K, okay? These are the people that were kind of like, this is what they're usually getting paid around here. Now the unifiers, the managers, they're usually gonna get about like 100K, probably like an 80K. Let's do 80K, 80K to like 100, let's say like 100, I don't know, 120K a year, okay? This is what they're usually making, right? So as you can see, the implementers, you can tell most people who do implementation actually work on like retail, things like that, they get paid around this amount, right? It's just like ballpark number, might be lower, sometimes might be higher, but for the most part, it's gonna be around here. Then the unifiers, the managers, they're gonna get paid around like 80K to 120K a year, right? Depending on where you're a manager at. Right? Of course, if you're a manager at McDonald's, you're not making that much or this much if you're an implementer at McDonald's either. Right? I'm just saying like in general. Now the communicators who operate in communication, right? These people, for example, like Stephen A. Smith, people like that, they're gonna be making around like multiple six figures. So they're making multiple six figures, right? Six figures all the way up to seven figures. They could even make multiple seven figures as well. And this right here, this is like the Stephen A. Smith. I know Stephen A. Smith just signed a, I think it was a contract for a couple million. I think it was like 30 million, so it might be way higher than that. I don't remember. But he's a communicator. He's a communicator, right? Oprah Winfrey, communicator, right? Rappers, for example, communicators, right? People who are excellent communicators, they can earn all the up to here. For example, this is why sales is one of the best paying professions. This is why salesmen, if you get good at sales, you can literally write your check. Salesmen that are good are usually making around 6 to 7 figures easily, right? Of course, you got to actually get the skill. And I'm going to talk about why society, so funny because sales is such a huge part of society, sales, right? In the communication, but a lot of people hate sales. Society teaches you to hate sales. And that's because society has framed it as sales being like a bad thing. When you got to consider the only reason you have money in your pocket or anyone has money at any point is because something was sold to them at some point. If nothing is being sold, then money does not move and money doesn't go into your pocket. Even consider the job you're working at right now. The only way your job can pay you what they're paying you is because something is being sold by the salesperson, right? Whether you work at the hospital, the only way the hospital can pay their employees is by them fixing people up. They send them a bill and people pay because they were fixed up, right? A sale was made, right? Same thing, it doesn't matter if you work at the airport and you are one of the people that rolls people around and on the thing that's like disabled, right? The only way you get paid is if plane tickets get sold. Somebody's selling that plane ticket, so you get paid your paycheck. So sales has to happen. Now what happens is everyone as society has made it so people look like everybody has to be like a dirty car salesman. So it's like this icky thing. When really sales is not an icky thing. Sales is actually a good thing, right? Because sales done properly should be an equal or better exchange for value for value. So if sales is being done properly, you should be getting equal or better value than the money you're paying for. For example, if I got this t-shirt and I paid $20 for it, this t-shirt should be worth $20 or more. I should feel like I got more value out of it, or it should be a fair exchange, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So sales is one of the best, like one of the higher paying professions, right? And you see society people who do sales, they get paid way higher than unifiers and usually more than implementers for the most part, right? Now, the highest part is going to be imagination. And these are people that literally are changing the world. So let me give you an example. The iPhone, right? Before that actually was a thing, it was just a thought in Steve Jobs' mind, right? And he was like, I have a great idea for something. And he used his mind to bring about the iPhone. And now you see literally almost everyone has an iPhone, right? It's even looked down upon if you don't have an iPhone. People look at you, they're like, you got an Android? Like what? You know, I'm recording this on an iPhone, so don't judge me. But right now, here's the thing right here. To become, now, usually to move up this, because you're probably like, okay, all I got to do is stop being an implementer and become someone that operates in this realm. And I'll start making, you know, and over here. So these people they make usually the billions with a B. So you're going to put billions. These people right here are usually making they're usually operating the billions over here. They're making hundreds of millions to billions of dollars over here, right? You see that's literally changing the world where they're using their imagination to bring about things, right? And they're making insane amounts of money because they're using their imagination to bring value. Now, the reason why people down here are kind of stuck down here is because you gotta understand is this. Money is literally a physical representation of value. And when you're operating down here at the implementation level, you're not really like the value providing is not as valuable as a person up here. We've literally decided society because you would consider this like when you're working a job is pretty much self-serving, right? When you go to work a job, you're not thinking about, okay, how can I help out the next person, or how can I help the employee? You're just thinking about, I need money in my pocket. This is how most people who get a job working. There's nothing wrong with a job. This is how I thought too when I got a job, right? You're not really considering, how can I impact many lives, right? Whereas the person over here, for example, the iPhone, literally millions of people were impacted by him using his imagination to bring about this device. A million people buy it. It's literally impacting and changing their lives. For example, the person that probably invented peanut butter, right? Their family is set forever because they've impacted millions of lives, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So let's go back to this. Let's say you wanna improve your life. You're like, hey, okay, all I gotta do is go from being an implementer, just leave my job at McDonald's and go to using my imagination to create something. To go from here to here is usually next to impossible, right? Because to be able to actually do this, to become somebody who uses their imagination, you actually gotta know how to communicate, right? You gotta know how to unify, and you gotta know how to implement. So you actually need these 3 skills to be able to do this. So to be able to actually do this, the best way is actually going from being an implementer to a unifier to a communicator to using that. That's why I usually see like a lot of these people, they were working jobs before they even got to where they're at. Like Jeff Bezos, for example, who's working a job before he got to where he's at, right? But the thing is this. So because of social media and society, it's actually easier to go from here, right, from being an implementer to here. Okay? And I'm going to break down exactly why. But before I break that down, I want to show you this as well. So look, so the implementer, so what happens is when you're an implementer, you only get paid off of your efforts, right? When you're an implementer, you only get paid off of your efforts. You don't get paid off of other people's efforts. This is why also your money is limited, right? You don't have as much leverage. Whereas when you come over here, a unifier, they're getting paid off of the implementers. So let's say you're a unifier manager at a job, you're getting paid for the work that your team does. So let's say you might have a team of 3 people they're executing, they're doing the work, you're telling them what needs to be done, you're getting paid off of their efforts. So literally the implementer puts money in the unifier's pocket. Then the unifier puts money into the communicator's pocket, because also you consider a communicator should be like people that's like in C-suite, right? They've now put together the managers, they tell them the tasks that needs to be done, and then it flows down, right? This could also be like the CEO right here. Communicators, they're mass communicators. They kind of decide which way the company is going, right? So the unifiers as well, they're making money off of the work of the unifiers and off of the work of the implementers, right? They're making money when it's called a business aspect. Then what happens is the person uses their imagination even to come about the company. They get paid off of the communicators' efforts, the unifiers' efforts, and the implementers' efforts. So the money is flowing up, which is why this person makes the most money. This is why Steve Jobs made the most money from the iPhone, right? Because he made the money off of the communicator, off of the unifier's efforts, and off of the implementer's efforts. Hopefully this is making sense. Now let's go back to this. Now, let's say I wanted to move from being a implementer, and I want like, hey, I'm an implementer right now, I want to change my life. And this is what happens to most people. What happens to most people is this. Because they're implementers and all we were taught in school is how to be implementers, like just consider this. In school, why weren't you taught in school how to use your brain and to become an entrepreneur? Because that's what really imagination is an entrepreneur, right? Why weren't you ever taught how to be an entrepreneur? Or are you always taught, hey, go to school, get a degree, and you just told you to be an implementer on something, right? To use your hands to make money, not to leverage other people, or to leverage your brain to make money, which is actually the best way to make money, is using your brain and being an entrepreneur. So you gotta notice, like, why you were taught that in schools, because what they wanted is for you to be an implementer. School was not designed to make a bunch of entrepreneurs. That's why even growing up, you notice like you aren't taught to use your imagination for anything anymore. Whereas before, it's like, hey, use your imagination because this is what you're doing. But now it's like, hey, don't use your imagination. They want you to have group think. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to really go out there and discover stuff. They want you to be like, hey, this is how life is. This is how you become successful. Go to school, get a job, get a degree. Or you have to work a job of some sort. And that's how you're going to be successful using your hands. But notice people who really have success, who have that freedom, they aren't using their hands. They're using their minds, their brains. They're entrepreneurs, right? So what happens is people get kind of stuck in this trap because they've been taught, they've been given this thought process where they're like, hey, okay, for them, they're like, okay, I have a money problem. This is a money problem. I'm going to put that. And they're like, okay, to fix my money problem, all I got to do is go and get another job which leaves me in the same exact money problem, is what you're essentially doing. Because what most people do is they're like, hey, I'm at this job right now, I'm an implementer. Let me just continue to find another job that's gonna pay me a little bit more. Like you might be getting paid 50K a year. You're like, oh, let me go find a job that's gonna pay me maybe 70K a year or 52K a year or whatever. And it doesn't really move the needle much because this and this is not that big of a life difference, right? You're still gonna be stuck, right? And most of these people, because they've been taught this and they think this type of way, all they do is go from job to job, right? Or this job leaves them off, they get fired, and they go look for another implementation job. When really what you should be doing, if you really want to have a life-changing, like income that's life-changing, what you need to do is change your skill set. Because the difference between this and this and this and this is the skill set that the person has. Like your skill set determines your income. And if you are an implementer, right, it's easier to actually move up because, of course, to become a unifier, you're going to be at a job somewhere where they're going to actually move you to manager. That's why you're at a job long enough. You now know how it's supposed to function. You can now manage others to do the same thing because you now understand the task. But how do you actually go from here to here without having to be C-suite? And this is what I love. Because we live in a life with, because we live in a life and we live in a world now where we have social media. This right here used to have a lot of they used to have what's called the gatekeepers over here. The gatekeepers for communication. So for example, let's go back to the Oprah story. Oprah was an implementer. If you actually go read up Oprah, she was an implementer. And what she was is she actually worked at a grocery store, right? And then what she wanted to do is she wanted to become a talk show. I don't know her whole life story, but she wanted to get on television and be seen. And what happened is she got told no a bunch of times. She got told, no, your personality is not good. You don't have the right personality, or you're going to fail. We don't want you. But she kept trying and trying and trying over again. Eventually, until she got accepted to a network. And then, long story short, now she is a billionaire, right? She became a billionaire over time. Of course, she started 6 figures, then got 7 figures, and she's doing so long that she became a billionaire over time, right? Usually, you're going to get around there, okay? But now, because of social media, you no longer have gatekeepers. This is why you have like YouTubers nowadays who literally, they go out there to start a channel. They stay consistent with it. They hone their communication skills. And as they get better, the market then starts to reward them for the value they now bring. And this is why you have YouTubers making 6 figures, 7 figures, or just social media influencers, period. Where now they're even making more than actors. Like people know influencers more than they know actors because they built up the skill of communication, right? Just think about it. Like, I hope you guys understand. It should be like blowing your mind right now, right? So even like, so here's the thing though, right? Let's go back to the influencer, right? They don't start off like that. Like if you go watch, one thing I love to do is when I go to look at a YouTube channel, I love to go back and look at where the person started off from. Like, how did they used to speak, or how did they carry themselves? How was their confidence? And when you go back and watch like the first video, like if you go watch like Mr. Beast's first video or whatever, right, or some other YouTubers, you look at their videos, you're astounded at the difference. Because what happens with most people is they think everybody's like an overnight success. I'm telling you, like that does not exist. There's no such thing as an overnight success. What happened is, while somebody's on a success journey, you didn't get to see them from day one, but now they've become so successful, everybody knows about them. And you're like, oh my gosh, this person's like an overnight success. It seems like they came out of nowhere. But really what happened was that they honed the skill over time and became so good that their sphere of influence reached out so far that now you've come in contact with them. But I guarantee it's people that knew them from day one, and now they're seeing like who they are, and they've seen the entire process. You can do that too. Most people think that it's some type of luck or they're born with some skill. Well, no. What happened to most people that become successful is they've honed the skill over time and stuck with it until they got the success that they want. Even Michael Jordan, for example. Michael Jordan, this is a commonly known story that Michael Jordan was kicked off, like he was cut from his high school basketball team. They said he wasn't good enough. Now, what happens is if Michael Jordan would have been like, all right, well, I'm not good enough, he could have stopped and would have never known about the Michael Jordan that he is now, right? But what happened is he stuck with it. He continued to get better, and then he got paid what he got paid, right? So what happens is, let's go back to the value thing. What happens is this. Most people, when they want to increase their income, instead of actually increasing their skill set so they can go to the level of unifier, communicator, or imagination, like I said, the best place to go from here or here, it's going to be here, right? They get stuck in this loop. Let me go get a new job. I'm struggling. Let me go get a new job. They get a new job. They're excited. They stay there for like 6 months to a year. Oh my God, I hate this job. Or they get laid off. And like, all right, they're back in the dumps again. Like, all right, let me go get a new job. They stay in this cycle, paycheck to paycheck, or barely make what they want, or train their time for what they don't want to do, right? And they get stuck in this cycle. When what the life they really want, the success they want, is literally hidden in them finding a new skill. And the skill set can't be the same skill as being an implementer, because implementers, right? Let's say I am a mechanic and I'm like, okay, let me go be a pharmaceutical. I'm still gonna get paid like around the same because I'm still an implementer. So what you have to do is you have to move up the levels of value where society has deemed this is the valuable skill. So of course, I want to get a manager position somewhere, right? Or if I want to get even higher than that, the easiest way, the best path, because of course it's not. I'm not saying it's easy because it's not easy, but the simplest path to go from here to here is going to be communication, and you see it all the time, where people go from being implementers to communicators, right? So for example, I know Grant Cardone, for example. I know he used to be like, I can't remember exactly what it was he was before, but I know he went from an implementer job to going into sales. Sales is a huge, I see this all the time. People go into sales and they suck at sales. Most people, everybody sucks at sales when they first start. But everybody has this idea that people are like naturally born good salesmen, which is not true. Go ask any good salesman when they started and they'll tell you they sucked when they first started. It was a repeated effort, a grind to get to where they wanted to be, right? And over time, they got so good that their value in the skill set of communication started earning them 6 to 7 figures or even higher sometimes, right? Or for example, social media. Like I have over 200,000 followers on TikTok, 400,000 followers on Instagram. And when I started, I didn't start off good. Like my first month of Instagram, I think I had like maybe 200 followers. My video sucked. I wasn't as confident on camera, but as I got better, my communication skills got better. It literally helped me leave the job I was at, right, where I was an implementer, and more than double, triple my income becoming a communicator working from home, right? And that's because I left this right here, right, the implementation, and became a communicator, right? Communication is one of the simplest ways to increase your income. Now, this is the thing right here. 74% of society operates here in implementation land, right? They operate here on the implementation. And that's why you see majority of society, where are they at? They use their muscles to try to make money. And they have no leverage, which is why they can literally work for 30 years and they'll never make as much as the person over here, because this person is using their brain, right, to create value for multiple people. Whereas this person, they're just thinking about what's the next thing I can do with my hands to make X money, and they're limited. Because this right here is not as valuable as the imagination. Then what you have is the unifiers, unification, right? This is where 20% of people are, which is like you actually bring a group of people together to do something, right, on a smaller scale, on a day-to-day basis, right? So these are the managers. Then you have the communicators. These are the people that are actually like the Stephen A. Smith. This is where 5% of people are at. Salesmen are here as well, right? 5% of people doing this. But notice majority of people that's doing this, that's good at it, they're making insane amounts of money. Then this is where you have the 1%, which is usually like the billionaires and stuff. They're using their mind to impact the entire world, right? Now I'm telling you right now, like, you can do it. Like, you have no limits in life. Most people think that they're kind of like, the only thing stopping you from going here to here or here is literally just you and your mindset, right? The life that you have is an outcome of your thought processes, right? And what you believe. This is why this is why I brought this, because what you have to understand first is you have to change your mindset first, and then your actions will follow. So if you just try to go from being an implementer to unifying a communicator, you understand what I'm trying to explain to you right here? It's not going to work, because your thought process, first you have to break this thought process, which is why I brought this to you. You have to break the thought process of, I have to use my hands to make money, right? Or that the best way to make money is to go out and be an implementer, which is what school taught you to be, a factory worker, right? Until you understand that and you break that and you don't believe it anymore, then you're always going to default back to your original programming, because that's what it is. It's just programming, right? And because most people are programmed this way, they're taught this way. Your parents, your school teachers, your friends tell you, go get a job, go get a job, go get a job, go get a job, and be this. This is why most people get stuck over here in this income level, right? Because literally programming. Until you fix that programming and you honestly believe, like, okay, I can be these things and I can learn these skill sets to do these things, then you're always going to be stuck right here. But it starts first with your belief patterns, right? And you actually being committed to changing yourself, because of course it's not going to happen overnight, right? I didn't go overnight from working at my job to learning how to blow up on social media. It took months of waking up early, put it like trial and error, failing, right? And then getting better, right? Because most people have been taught also to be afraid of failure, when failure is the only way you get to success. But I hope this kind of helped you guys out. When he first explained this to me, it blew my mind away when I first, of course, I'm not doing as good a job as Myron did, but it definitely helped me out. Let me know if you have any questions about this, if this makes sense, or there's any way I can help you out, right? Like I said, I make these videos to help you guys out, to give you guys as much value as I possibly can. And if I could just change one life, then this video was worth it. So if you have any questions, just put it below. If this made sense or if there's anything I missed, let me know below, and we go from there. See you on the next video. And also, I'll reply back to every single comment as well. So all comments below, I'll reply back to you, good or bad. If you think this is stupid, put it down below. Think this is good, it helps you out, put it down below. But yeah, kind of go from there. Thanks for watching.